We are taught that creation is an act of force. We are told to grind, to push, to manufacture brilliance through the sheer friction of our own effort. But think back to the greatest idea you ever had, the one that changed everything. Did you make it? Or did it feel like it arrived? What if your best ideas aren't made, but received? We treat the mind like a factory, loud, industrial, cluttered with the machinery of the ego. But the mystics and the mad geniuses have always whispered a different truth. What if the brain isn't a factory? What if it is an antenna? The signal is already playing. The symphony is already written in the ether. The problem isn't that you lack creativity. The problem is that your receiver is filled with static. Nikola Tesla understood this better than anyone. He famously claimed he didn't invent his machines. He merely saw them, fully formed, in the theater of his mind. Today we are going to tune the dial. I will walk you through Tesla's specific night ritual, a method for quieting the noise and opening the channel. And I will show you how to adapt it safely for the chaos of modern life. Stop thinking, start listening. Look around. We live in an empire of noise. From the moment you wake, the world demands your frequency. The news, the feed, the emails, the anxiety. We are drowning in data, yet starving for wisdom. You feel blocked not because you are empty, but because you are too full. The signal of genius is subtle. It is a whisper in a hurricane. And right now, your mind is screaming. We have been conditioned to believe that the harder we grind, the better the output. We mistake friction for progress. We think if we just think harder, the solution will appear. But force is the enemy of flow. You cannot smooth the water by hitting it with a flat iron. You can only smooth the water by leaving it alone. The great solutions rarely come when you're clenching your jaw at a desk. They come in the shower, on a long drive, in the space between sleeping and waking. They come when the ego steps down and the receiver turns on. Receptivity is not an accident. It is not luck. It is a discipline. Most of us have forgotten how to be hollow. We have forgotten how to be a vessel. We treat silence like an enemy to be filled, rather than a friend to be heard. To hear the signal, you must first learn to tolerate the silence. Most inventors live in the physical world. They build, they fail, they patch, they try again. It is a process of trial and error, a clumsy conversation with reality. Nikola Tesla did not speak that language. He didn't need a workshop to know if a machine would work. He had built a sanctuary, a laboratory entirely within the cathedral of his own skull. Listen to his own description of the process. It is hauntingly precise. My method is different. I do not rush into actual work. When I get an idea, I start at once building it up in my imagination. I change the construction. I make improvements. I operate the device. Do you understand the magnitude of that? He wasn't just thinking about a motor. He was running a simulation. He claimed he could run a machine in his head for weeks. He could watch it spin. He could return to it days later and check for signs of wear and tear on the gears. He could see where the friction was before he ever cut a single piece of metal. He wasn't guessing. He was testing. He bypassed the friction of the physical world because he had already perfected the design in the spiritual one. He didn't need to invent. He only had to transcribe what he had. So, how do we access the lab? How do we turn the brain from a factory into a receiver? We use the cover of darkness. Tesla worked at night not just for the solitude, but for the silence. When the world sleeps, the collective noise drops. The interference patterns of a billion other minds seem to fade. Silence is not empty space. It is a doorway. First, you must build the walls. Total solitude. No signals in, no notifications, no voices. You cannot hear the broadcast if you are still holding on to the world. You must sever the connection to the outside so you can open the connection to the inside. Second, the soft review. Bring your problem into the center of your mind. But here is the secret. Do not try to solve it. Do not wrestle with it. Just look at it. Rotate it. Observe the friction points. If you force the answer, you block the signal. You must ask the question, and then wait. Third, run the simulation. Close your eyes. Visualize the outcome, not the struggle. Don't think about how to build the engine. See the engine running. Watch it spin. Listen to the hum. Let your subconscious fill in the gaps. You are handing the blueprints over to a silent partner who is far smarter than your waking mind. Finally, the anchor. When the download comes, and it often comes right as you drift between wakefulness and sleep, you must ground it. Keep a pen by the bed. When the lightning strikes, you capture the voltage immediately. If you wait until morning, the ether will have reclaimed it. Do not trust your memory. Trust the ink. The pages aren't just text, they become alive. This was not a gift he was born with. It was a discipline he forged in the fires of a troubled childhood. In his own memoirs, Tesla describes a peculiar affliction, vivid, blinding flashes of light. But rather than suppress them, he learned to control them. He began to travel without moving. He writes of living in foreign cities he had never visited. He met people, made friends, heard voices. And to him, these hallucinations were as dear and as tangible as the world of flesh and bone. He was training the muscle of the mind. He was upgrading the receiver. He discovered a mechanism, a trigger. He realized that every thought he had was merely a reflection, a reverberation of an external impression. A word spoken, a flash of color, a distant sound. These were the keys that unlocked the library. He didn't wait for inspiration. He hunted for the triggers. And once the machine appeared in the theater of his mind, the work began. This is the core of his alchemy. He did not build to see if it worked. He built because he knew it worked. It is absolutely immaterial to me whether I run my turbine in thought or test it in my shop. He would assemble the device in the ether. He would set it running. He would leave it there, in the background of his consciousness, for weeks. When he returned, he would inspect the imaginary gears for signs of wear. He would correct the defects before they ever existed physically. He perfected the shadow so the object would be flawless. It is easy to dismiss Tesla's language as magic. Receiving ideas from the ether, tuning into the cosmos. It sounds like poetry, not physics, but Tesla called it receiving. Modern science calls it incubation. The mystics and the neuroscientists are looking at the same map. They are just using different names for the territory. When you finally shut up, when you stop grinding, stop scrolling, and stare at a blank wall, you aren't turning your brain off. You are switching power sources. You enter the default mode network. This is the brain's background operating system. It is the architect that wakes up only when the construction crew goes home. Science confirms what Tesla knew. The brain solves its hardest problems not when it is focusing, but when it is wandering. And then there is the edge of sleep. Tesla lived in the state known as hypnagogia, the N1 stage, that brief, slippery moment between being awake and being asleep. In this state, the logic gates of your prefrontal cortex lower. The guard dog goes to sleep. Suddenly, distant ideas, concepts that seem to have no business being together, crash into each other and fuse. During REM sleep, your brain is flooded with acetylcholine. It becomes hyper-associative. It stops asking, does this make sense? And starts asking, what if? Tesla wasn't downloading magic. He was accessing a biological supercomputer that most of us leave in sleep mode. He didn't invent the signal. He just kept the line open. You do not need a laboratory at Colorado Springs. You do not need to be a mad genius. You just need to clear the line. Here is the 7-step protocol to turn your sleep into a creative engine. Tonight, try this. 1. Cut the signal noise. 10 minutes before sleep, the digital world dies. No feed, no news, no voices but your own. You cannot tune in if you are still logged on. 2. Dim the lights and slow the body. A warm shower or a simple stretch. Tension is static. If your body is screaming, your mind cannot whisper. Calm the vessel. 3. Ask one question, just one. How do I fix this chapter? What is the design for the bridge? Do not ask for the answer. See the solution already finished. See the book on the shelf. See the engine running. Feel the relief of it being done. 5. The whisper. As you drift off, offer a command to your subconscious. Show me the next step. Then let it go. Trust the receiver. 6. Journal immediately. Before you sleep, dump the mental cache. Symbols, fragments, feelings. Clear the buffer so the new data can arrive. 7. Capture the ghost. Keep the notebook by your pillow. When you wake up, do not touch your phone. Do not check the time. Grab the pen. The dream logic evaporates in seconds. Catch it before it fades. We spend our lives shouting at the universe, demanding it give us what we want. We strain. We push. We break ourselves against the wall of our own ambition. But Tesla knew the secret. You were never meant to force genius. You were meant to tune it. The signal is always broadcasting. The solution to your problem. The idea for your book. The invention that will change your life. It is already there, vibrating in the silence. So I have to ask, what might you receive? If you finally got quiet enough to hear yourself, if you are ready to stop forcing and start listening, I want you to commit to the experiment. Try the night protocol for 7 days, or comment the word receive down below if this resonated with your calling. Let that be your contract with yourself. A signal that you are opening the channel. Tonight, do not chase the answer. Do not hunt it down. Just be still. Become the place where the answer can land. Until next time, Universal Consciousness, signing out.